I guess we can start whenever you're ready. I would think that Karen will be here, but.
We're good.
It's 9 o'clock. We'll call a meeting to order with the first order of business comments from the public related to items on the agenda. Do we have anybody on Zoom? No. Hearing none, then we'll go on to approve the minutes from the May 18th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we got the safety sheriff Tom.
Beat you to it.
Nothing's jumping out at me this week on the way here. At least I didn't run into any deer or anything, so I kind of leave it up to anybody. Has anybody got anything to share on safety?
I'm just finding it really, really interesting just seeing the deer running in the daytime. I mean, out in the open and they're everywhere.
Yeah. So I guess that's it.
That's it. Then moving on to the chairman's report. I'd just say that the fair tickets are on sale. You want to get them early so you can save a little money before you have to buy them at the door. And the Parks Department is selling the tickets for PGI. And they're $10. You have to buy them in advance. They won't actually be selling any at the show. So if you get a chance, you probably want to get out and get them. It's supposed to be a great fireworks. And then we go on to the Winnebago County Fair Association report with Mike Dunphy.
Hello, everybody. Excuse me if I jump around a lot. I got a lot of little notes on my piece of paper here, but I don't hit anything you got a question about, or you have a question, just let me know. Like Steve was saying, we got the tickets on sale, and we also have them on our website as of yesterday, I believe it was. So if you're interested in buying, we're with the same price structure, 12 in advance, 15 at the gate. Quite a few new vendors in the expo center, and food vendors are coming out this year. We've been getting quite a few different people for that. The request to Steve, we're making sure we have some senior parking and handicap parking better up front toward the gate, so people can get in a little easier. We'll have them walk through that grassy area, and we're hoping to come up with some kind of concept of being able to transport people on the grounds a little bit. So just gotta get somebody willing to haul those big people movers around. So our Facebook page has the schedules, and our website for the events that we have booked so far and the times that we know. So you can either check out Winnebago County Fair online or the Facebook page for Winnebago County Fair. We've been hitting, so far we've done actually only one parade so far. Waka Chicken Days we're at. We're going to be at the Menasha Parade of Lights on the 3rd of July. The 4th we're in Oshkosh and Amro. And then I think we're going to do the parade in El Dorado and Sovereign Stays for sure. So those are all penned in already. We're going to be at the dairy event this weekend at the Leach Theater. We're at the Farm Bureau drive-through, so there's been a little presence in the community. Initially, we didn't have a Fairs for the Fair. We didn't have anybody apply, so we kind of dragged out our deadline, and we actually got 2 people that were willing to be Fairs for the Fair. We have Amber Hammond. She is from Menasha. She is a marketing person for the Grand here in Oshkosh. So she is the fairest and the attendant. I keep trying to fancy word. I was going to say runner-up, but is Amanda Stone. She is from Amro. She's a UW River Falls student. Showed in 4-H forever. So she's pretty familiar with all that. Amber is originally not even from the area, doesn't know anything about dairy, not a lot about fairs, but she is making sure she goes around and learns everything she can, so she can spread the word to community groups. Let's see here. We got a little bit more. Typically, our crowd is more open class, which is the adults or the 4-H. We randomly have some Boy Scouts. This year, it sounds like we're going to have quite a few Girl Scouts. We got 2 leaders that kind of Girl Scouts in for exhibiting this year, so that'll be a nice addition, extra exhibitors and exhibits. See what else we have. For the events at the fair, we have the circuses back this year. We have a new, it's a kids fun zone kind of thing that they do all kinds of different stuff for the kids, friends can all day long. And then they also have a foam zone. So they shoot like foam out and the kids can play on the foam and make stuff with the foam. I don't know. It's more like, it's not really foam, it's more like bubbles, I guess, from what I've seen on the thing, but something new. So, and of course, we'll have our chainsaw carvers and Steve will be out there critiquing them a little bit. We have the project areas in the fair book this year, the premium book. We changed some of those up, so there's a lot of different areas. We kind of try to modernize it a little bit, so you'll see different kinds of projects being shown there. Gives the kids a little bit more today's things that the kids do today, you know, they can exhibit that kind of stuff. So try to modernize that a little bit. And we'll work on a few more of the areas next year. We had one superintendent stepped up and really did a good job on redoing her area. Gonna have the craft sale there again, jumping around here, sorry, for one day. And then we'll have the rodeo and the motocross guy on Wednesday night, Thursday nights, the county tractor pull, Friday nights, Badger State tractor pull with NEW pullers will be here. Saturday will be the demo. Sunday's kind of our wind down day. We have the bands and stuff like that. Pretty much a local. We have one called the Dweebs. They look pretty entertaining. One of our fair board members has seen them playing, but when we met them at the convention, they're pretty entertaining. So they play for anything from the kids to older folks. I mean, the whole whatever you want them to play, and wear a little helicopter hat and everything else. So it's a father, a son, and I think 2 daughters or something. And they sound like they're good. So got good reviews from them before we booked them. So, and then a couple of things that were passed along to me were, I'm gonna read them off my phone. They were texting me. There you get the website. Some of the county offices, I guess, John and Ethan wanted tickets available at some of the county offices for the employees. So far, Parks, Land and Water are going to be selling. They're going to try to sell them in the administration building. Be available to employees and the public. Jody and Ethan are working on putting together a Winnebago County Employee Night on August 4th. Same night we had the Dweebs concert. So kind of get some of our county employees out there and drag some of their friends along. And Tuesday night, something we're going to try this year, it's going to be mainly for the exhibitors. We're going to try with the exhibitors this year. If it works, we're going to expand it into bringing the public in on Tuesday night. Monday and Tuesday, the kids do their showing, bring their animals in, and they're getting ready for the fair on Wednesday. So we give them a wind down time at night. So we are bringing in a movie screen, and we're going to play a movie. And the movie is not confirmed yet. It's in cooperation with Time Theater. We're using their license. And in the covered arena, we're going to show a movie for the kids, and a lot of popcorn and whatever else we can do for them over there, and they can kind of wind down a little bit, watch a movie before they head in for the night or get ready for the next day, whatever the matter be. So that'll be an interesting thing. Encourage you guys to come on out if you want to, and see how that is, and meet some of the exhibitors and different people out there. There's going to be a county board meeting. I think is it next week?
Yes.
Jody's going to have some flyers there for you guys, more of the signs and some other stuff for all the county board members to, or public anyway, that's there to take any of that kind of stuff too. I think she's going to have tickets, I'm not sure. there's any public, anybody wants to come up there. I think I hit everything. Anybody got any questions I can answer?
Yeah, the dates are gonna be on that flyer next Tuesday.
Yeah, August 2nd through 6th.
Okay.
So, and for you guys that are here, there's some flyers and canned koozies and a few things over here if you want to take them. There's a brochure for all the county fairs and within the state when they are and a little bit about them.
Last year, there was a request for supervisors to come and judge some stuff. Is that gonna be happening?
We're gonna be getting that together. We try to usually get down to how many, rather than walk around and list all the clubs. We try to get when the fair entry closes so that we can only list the ones that have exhibitors in that area. So you don't look around for a certain one and you can't find it and it's really not there. So we will get that out to you guys too. And hopefully maybe by Tuesday night we can drop them off to you guys at the county meeting too. And I guess I'll steal that one from Dana.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about it and I was gonna let Dana. We do the billboard contest, so we're gonna see if you guys would judge the billboards again this year. Dana advertised it out and as soon as I get them, I'll get them at Dana and she's gonna print them off for you and let you guys judge first, second, third place.
Bring them to the July meeting. I think last year that's what we did.
Okay. And I might seek a few volunteers for some of our outstanding exhibitor awards to review some of that stuff. So might be hearing from me to see if we can get a few people, see how many we did. And we'll get you, yeah, like I was saying, we'll get you a letter with that so you can come out and do some judging and get into the fair and check it out and see what you think. So I think,
Any other questions for Mike?
It sounds like you've been busy.
yes, we've been trying, so it's.
I'll just make a comment. I appreciate all you do for the fair, Mike, and your board. I mean, I know you're have a hard time recruiting volunteers and you know, you're doing more with less. And I appreciate all the time. I went to their meeting this month and it lasted about 2.5 hours. They're all volunteers and, you know, they believe in 4-H and the fair. And I went and have judged that ever since I've been on the board. And it's just good to see the kids actually taking care of their animals instead of playing on iPads. You actually see how it was when we were kids. We didn't have iPads, you know, we had to basically entertain ourselves. If you basically lived on a farm, you had animals. If you lived at home, you basically played with, you know, your kickball and you had plants and stuff that you could enter in 4-H, but it's really good to see that the kids basically doing something other than electronics. So I thank you for all the work you do. I know you put an awful lot of time in that, and if it wouldn't be for the fair board, there would be no fair.
We appreciate that. I mean, everybody on the board works pretty hard and that's all plug into for the 4-H Leaders Board. They're out, actually, I think Ken Joe's the president. Kennel, yeah, so he's trying to help us a little bit to recruit some volunteers for our tear down and cleanup too, and maybe some setup stuff too. Because this year we have to be out pretty quick and cleaned up for PGI to come in, so it's going to be, usually our fair board members take up this time to set up and then the fair is here and then the tear down, everybody has to go back to work. So I added an extra week, so I got 3.5 weeks of vacation I'll be using for the fair this year. So so we'll see how that goes. And
I know at that PGI, the parks only gave you 2 days to tear down, where normally you used to have about 10.
yeah,
So you have to basically put
we're gonna
10 days worth of work in 2 days.
2
and
days.
You just ran a setup and a week-long fair, so it is going to be a challenge, and hopefully I'll be willing to help you.
I'll shave before that. I don't know if I'm getting kind of so you can recognize me. So, yeah, if anybody has any questions, ever feel free to Facebook or call me or, you know, call any of the board members. Glad to help you out. So, for suggestions. So, and just so everybody knows, we actually got Steve and his wife to be superintendent this year.
Really?
So Steve is
Yeah.
taking over woodworking.
Oh, perfect.
So,
Yep,
well,
getting trained on Wednesday.
All right, very cool.
we're gonna train him for about 2 hours for 2 weeks worth of work. So, yeah, like I say, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to work.
Next, we'll move on to the UW Division of Extension Program Educator Reports, Human Development and Relationships.
Lots of handouts.
Oh, thank
Come
you.
along.
Such fancy staples.
They're eco staples,
Yeah.
no staples.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it can do fancy things. If it's less than five
Oh, my
sheets.
goodness.
Yeah, well,
You only do
figured I'd
it
do
for up to 5 pages, yeah.
too much rather than not enough. Right?
What kind of staple remover do you use?
You should get some iron.
Staple looks like- All right, so yeah, that all goes around, but yeah, starting off with RentSmart. RentSmart is probably half of what I do in my position. State co-chair of RentSmart, I'm responsible for all the participant side of it. I don't do the trainer side, but still doing RentSmart. We do it online once a month via Zoom, different days of the week, different times of the day each month. Myself and a team of educators, colleagues statewide. We've been doing that in July of 2020. A quarter of the people that have gotten the RentSmart certificate are Winnebago County residents. So we still get a good referral rate from the Housing Authority, from AdvoCap, from other community providers. So again, just shows how relevant RentSmart is, at least in Winnebago County and statewide and really nationwide. Still doing RentSmart at Oshkosh Correctional. We've had 113. So PIOC, that is, the term's not inmates, it's persons in our care. That is the Department of Corrections term for residents at a correctional facility. So 113 individuals at the prison have gotten the RentSmart certificates. Have 2 series coming up there in July. It's they get more requests than they have time and I have time to do it. So same thing. It's really highly thought of out there. NOLA Counseling down the road did a series there back in May. Second Chance School, so Oshkosh School District, Second Chance School downtown, did a series there in May for graduating seniors and have another we're planning for fall. Again there, going to do it at Pillars in Appleton. So this is part of our sharing with Katie Gellings in Outagamie County. I'm going to do it at the Adult and Family Shelter downtown Appleton for Pillars. That's coming up in July. COTS, the men's shelter here in Oshkosh, out at Father Carr's, the COTS men's shelter. Have that coming up in a few weeks. And then the trainer will be trained professionals literally coast to coast on how to do RentSmart in their own organizations. We've got that coming up in July, and I help out with that as well. So yeah, RentSmart, it's a lot of places and get requests, including at the county jail. So working with Lieutenant Gruby at the county jail, trying to find some dates in the next couple of weeks to start presenting RentSmart in there also. Yeah, he sent the flyer out to the facility and had way more response than we had slots for, like within a day. So yeah, that'll be exciting to go both to the county jail and the prison, 2 very different facilities. But Katie came along with me yesterday to the prison. Evictions, so eviction rate is still kind of high in Winnebago County. We're kind of right where we should be in terms of filings, I guess. But we are still really high in judgment. So just because an eviction is filed doesn't mean it actually happens. But we are 3rd in judgments right now through April, and we're still pretty close to that through May, just behind Kenosha County and Milwaukee County. Again, why we are so high in judgments, we don't have a great answer. I mean, it's not, 35 judgments. That's still 35 families or individuals that were, forcibly removed from their housing. But why we are third in judgments, and that's kind of our historic record the last few years. Yeah, we don't have great answers. And then we are currently on pace to probably break our all-time record, number of evictions filed in Winnebago County. Again, really disappointing and infuriating, but again, a judgment or a filing doesn't necessarily lead to a judgment, but it's going to cause some issues for someone at the judge for filing against them, even if it doesn't lead to a judgment. So again, highlighting the importance of Rent Smart and all the financial education that we do. Next page, Youth Forward Wisconsin and Children's Savings Account. So this was started by some of my colleagues throughout the state, and I have come on board with it also. This is trying to get universal childhood savings accounts for children that they can use for post-secondary education. We've had some meetings with community groups here locally, including Community Foundation from the Fox Valley, Data Care, JJ Keller, Oshkosh Community Foundation, United Way, Fox Cities, United Way, Brown County. Just met with them again last week, and they are extremely excited to try and find a way to make it happen in our communities with funding through community foundations or wherever else, and using us at Extension kind of as the content experts with the research and everything else that we've done. But there seems to be some genuine interest in trying to make this happen. And a childhood savings account is an account that's specifically set up to be used for post-secondary education, whether it's a certificate course, a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, whatever it might be. We started with, as little money as you want, anyone can add to it, making it universal. So every child, whether it's every child that enrolls in kindergarten or every child that's born or however they want to set it up, it's really flexible. There's lots of really good research and results nationwide. So we had the first couple of handouts, the news articles. So we had the La Follette School down on campus. They ran a cost benefit analysis. It looks like a whole lot of data. It is. If you want the full report, I can certainly get you the full report. But what it states is that if we would create childhood savings accounts in the state of Wisconsin, it is a net benefit. Definitely benefits not only the children, but it benefits the counties that those children live in. There is an economic benefit in almost every possible scenario. And again, this would not be using the money. Almost always comes from foundations, nonprofits, philanthropy, just the benefit of having an investment in children. The cost benefit analysis almost always shows that there is a net value to having childhood savings accounts. And there's a whole lot more research that, if you're really interested, I can certainly get it to you. And then the article that was printed, I was interviewed for it. My name was in it. But yeah, we are kind of the spot in the state right now that's super interested in doing this. There's a few other educators and a few other areas in the state that are interested, but we have real traction and genuine interest right now. There are funders through especially the Community Foundation for Fox Valley. There are specific funders that are really interested in putting money into this. So we are going to meet again in a few weeks with that same group and find a way to roll out some more education, some more data for the foundations, and how can we actually make this happen. So it's really interesting and exciting. Yeah.
So the foundations are putting,
Yes.
the majority of the funding is coming from
Would come from
foundations.
however they want to do it. Yes.
Do the individuals then have to write a request to receive those monies?
No. So the goal would be universal, like it is for however, and it varies from location to location. Some places do it for every child that's born. You get an account in your name, or it can be every child that starts, typically in a school district in a certain area. Everyone gets it. That's where it's most effective, because the data shows, the research shows, and some of the focus groups we've done, if I have to go and sign up for it, I may not do it. If it's another thing I have to do, versus if it's just there automatically, you can opt out. that is much more successful. You get a much higher uptake rate, and parents and grandparents, whomever else is going to add funds to it, they're much more engaged. I don't have to do anything, it already exists.
Okay, so it kind of runs along with, as a newborn, I've got to get a social security number.
Yes, yeah. So
It's the
that's,
same type
there
of,
are, yes, there are places that do that where, yeah, you have, you know, the day or two afterwards, and you have like the first of 5, the person from the county comes in and talks to you. We have like a social security number paperwork, birth certificate paperwork. Here's your account, your universal child and savings account. It's already started for you. The foundation of whomever the agency would be would take care of it, and it's there for you and has some initial seed money.
so this would, and it's for low-income families.
For everybody.
specific- For
Universal.
everybody.
Everybody, that's the goal, is to have every child. And that's when it's created, that's typically how areas do it. There's only, Milwaukee County has one, Fund My Future in Milwaukee, and then Marinette County and Menominee County, Michigan, across the border. Their community foundation has one for children born in Marinette and Menominee counties, but those are the only areas in the state that do it. And for both of them, it's universal. Doesn't matter who you are, if you are born in or you move into our counties, you get a childhood savings account.
That's very cool.
It is.
And
It's
that's
very cool.
in
Yes.
addition to any 529s.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so yeah, you can still do your own 529, and some areas that have done child savings accounts use like a 529 as the vehicle. Marinette Menominee, they just put money into one bank account, and they pay it out from a bank account as you turn 18 or you enroll in school or wherever else it might be. There's lots of different ways you can do it. It's really flexible, but it's finding, so at Extension, like we have the research, we can kind of help with the framework. That's where our spot is. So then it's up to whether it's community foundations or other nonprofits, or like Theta here is really interested in doing it. However they want to structure it, whoever holds the funds, that's completely up to them. We are just here to help provide that background and data, help them kind of create the structure around it.
What happens to the funds if they don't go on to school?
So if you don't go to school, in some cases, depending on how you set up, you can use it to down payment for a house. You can use it for, if you want to start your own business. There are, again, and it's completely flexible, however the group wants to set it up. Marinette Menominee, if you don't use it by the time, I think it's 24, then the money just goes back into the huge fund and you don't get it anymore. It's usually between 18 and 24 that the child could ultimately access it. But again, it's up to every CSA that does it, if they allow that or not allow it.
Would those funds stay separate, like if grandparents put money in there?
It all goes into, so yeah, parents can add to it, grandparents, and some, anybody can add to it.
Then, and it goes back to the thing,
It
then
would
you're
ultimately,
losing the money that your
Yes.
family gave you.
So
Not
the
just
goal
money
is-
that
yes,
organization gave you.
Yes.
You would essentially lose.
you could, yes, if you put in hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, and yeah, ultimately your child decides they don't want to do anything with it.
Right.
Again, depending on how it's set up. But again, Marinette Menominee, that's what happens. The funds go back into the general fund, and yeah, you lose access to it. So
You're
There's
probably
a
better off
select-
having 2 savings accounts, one for you
yes,
yourself personally,
Yes.
and then this one
Yeah.
that they gave you.
so there, yeah, I mean, yes, there is that potential. Yeah.
But, and into what Steve is saying, you're saying that a family could have this money go into the 529. Is that how I understood that?
So it depends on, so like if, let's say we do start one here in Winnebago and Outagamie and Calumet and Brown counties. If they want to go with, and you can use a 529, if that's the vehicle they want to use, that would be separate
Got it.
from your 529.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
clarifies
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
So things are happening. Nothing is set in place, but they still have a lot of questions, but there is genuine interest in the community foundations and the funders that are really interested in childhood and childhood education.
Well, and in addition to that, I noticed that the state is now requiring that there's a half credit to graduate
Yes.
from high
So, yeah,
school.
We're excited about
And
that. See if we
yeah,
can
in
do something.
budgeting and financing.
Yeah.
That's
It's
exciting.
exciting, yes, because yeah, that's much more common than it's not. A lot more states do it than don't, so yeah, it's good that that is coming along. And this has actually come up before committee at the state level. There has been pushes to try and do childhood savings accounts statewide. It's never gotten out of the committee. It's never gotten into a bill on the floor or anything like that, but there are state legislators that are really interested in this also. So there's some real interest and possibility. Impacted by legal systems, so reentry ready stuff. So this is what I do at the prison and about to do at the jail. We have a lot of resources. A lot of this is kind of my fault because of what I do at Oshkosh Correctional. They had a lot of questions and we're requesting a lot of financial resources. So I and some of my team created some resources, and that has grown into a whole new programming area for us. In reentry ready, we have a few colleagues statewide that work in county jails and work in prisons. We've launched a website on the extension financial side with resources specifically for individuals that have been released from incarceration. I've just been in the prison the last couple of weeks doing our financial literacy curriculum in there. Again, for guys that are within a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a year or two from release. Yeah, really fun and interesting, and engaging. Like it is, if anyone ever wants to go into the prison and sit through a class with me, like it is, no one has ever said it was a bad thing. Like
Absolutely not.
it's very, I have this, fun isn't the right word, but it is, I really, really enjoy going into the prison. It's a really engaged audience that they are there because they want to learn, they know they need this information. So it's,
Let me know the next one. I would really be
yeah, I
interested.
go in a couple of weeks. I'll be doing Rent Smart in there. I will definitely get you the dates. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, like I said, working with Lieutenant Gruby and Lieutenant Johnson at the county jail, we're going to start doing some programming in there as well. A very different setting, like going into the prison, I can really take in anything. I can take in handouts, I can take in things with staples in it, I can take in booklets, everything. The jail, you can't take anything in. So we're working on how to make that happen. They have access to tablets in the jail, and I think we'll be putting things on tablets versus taking paper handouts and things. Jump ahead a little bit. So planning ahead, you've got a flyer for planning ahead. So this is a new program. This is both financial and lifespan. This is planning for financial stuff and planning for later in life. We're going to be doing this as kind of an Area 10 team. So Katie Gellings in Allegheny County, and Tiffany Iliadis in Waupaca County will be doing this online in July and August. This is via Zoom. 7 sessions, and it really is. It talks about how do I plan ahead? How do I think about what are some difficult things to think about and plan for, or potentially end of life care and end of life decisions and estate planning. With most of the modules, we have experts in the community come in and talk also. So like we'll have an attorney talk about maybe legal directives, advanced medical directives. We'll have a funeral home come in and talk about how you make those types of plans, not pushing their particular product, but just talking in general. Like they are much more content experts around that than we are. Having someone come in and talk about how you handle financial changes, Social Security and trusts and all of those types of things that can get really complicated. So again, this has been going on for about a year or so statewide. I haven't taught it yet, but Katie has. It's been really well received through ADRCs and Health and Human Services statewide through counties. So that's coming up in July. What else is on here? Encouraging financial conversation. So this is working with frontline professionals. We do this on a regional group. EFC, it's a curriculum where we present to professionals about how to have financial conversations. So whether it's social workers or case managers at nonprofits, at county offices, how do you talk to someone about budgeting and goal setting and financial and credit and everything else? Those can be really difficult conversations to have. So it's us training those professionals that are on the front line about how to have those types of conversations. And we give them lots and lots and lots of tools to be able to do that. My little bit of family engagement stuff that I do, so Strong Couples, that is a program that we joined in with University of Illinois Extension and several other Midwestern extensions, Iowa State, and Indiana, and Kansas State, and Missouri. It is probably the most research-based and data-based couples communication program in the world, really. And basically is us as educators, we meet with a couple, they do an online curriculum, and we meet with them and coach them through the curriculum just around communication. I've had a couple that have been married 40+ years, and now their kids have all moved out and they realized they didn't know how to talk to each other anymore. So, and I've had a couple that's only been married for a year, and like suddenly we don't realize, we don't know how to talk to each other. So it's really cool. It's really simple. There's no real heavy lifting on our part. It all comes through Illinois Extension. Basically 20 minutes at a time every week or so with a couple. It's really simple on our part, but it gets some really positive results. It's just fun to be able to do something like that. And then the fatherhood initiative, I still do work with the fatherhood group because there are not many of us as fathers in Extension, and especially in HDR. I get asked to do a lot of the fatherhood stuff, which is great, and I like doing it. Still doing Focus on Fathers, which is a monthly online Zoom, specifically kind of geared at dads. How to talk to children, how to learn about children's social emotional development, how to find resources, and how to talk to each other as dads. The last handout is the summary of the fatherhood needs assessment. So I was involved in this just a little bit, kind of on the backside, but over the last couple of years, the fatherhood team interviewed fathers and community groups and county agencies statewide, kind of figuring out what do fathers need in terms of support, resources, education. Again, this is the 2-pager. If you would like the full 100-some page report, you can certainly have access to that. We're trying to push this out because, you know, what do fathers need most? Or what do fathers want? And really the big answer that we have gotten is that fathers just want to be fathers. They want to be able to do their role as fathers. That they just want the support and the recognition that, you know, a lot of county programs, nonprofit programs are always geared towards mothers, which is fantastic, but there is a definite lack in the services that we provide to fathers. And fathers definitely feel left out. So there's a lot of really good findings that have come out of it. So we're trying to push this out to as many people as we can to continue to find out, like, what can we do for dads? How can we help dads? How can we engage with dads? What do dads need? There's some really interesting findings, some real first-person stories. And same thing from some of the community providers. Kind of like you walk into a county agency, you walk into a nonprofit, it's almost exclusively women that are case managers or the first face you see at the reception desk. So men definitely feel left out in a lot of these situations, intimidated. So how can we help with that, or how can we change some of that?
Are these the single fathers or
It
divorced
was
fathers?
everything.
Or
Yeah, we tried to
the
reach as
whole
many.
spectrum?
They tried to reach as many different, all of the target groups. Yeah, whether it's married or single, divorced, full custody, no custody. They reached out. We had Hispanic fathers and Hmong fathers because there are definitely cultural differences when it comes to how fathers are seen in their families. So yeah, they tried to reach as many different, every demographic, in every different scenario. I got to see what dads think that they need. What are they telling us?
That's huge.
Do you see like more low-income fathers?
I mean, it is, yes. And a lot of in the full report, a lot of the quotes from fathers were like, I have to work 2 jobs because I owe child support, or I have to pay alimony, or like I'm seen just as a paycheck. Like I'm not seen as an equal in the family. I don't get to spend time with my kids because I have to work that second job because I'm just seen as a resource. I'm not seen as a father. So I feel like I'm missing out, and I know I'm missing out. And a lot of it comes from that, where it's, again, a lot of the services that we have are geared more towards mothers, and fathers definitely feel discriminated against, left out, like I'm not an equal in this relationship. A lot of times I'm viewed as the problem and not the solution, and they don't get the resources to try and help with that.
Do you ever work with fathers who just don't care? I don't care if my kid is
I
nurtured,
don't-
I don't care if he's, developing correctly, because I just don't care about him.
Yeah, I mean, that
You get
definitely
them?
happened. I haven't really ever had, I don't do a whole lot of one-on-one with dads. Some of my colleagues, some of them work directly with like CPS or child support in their county, and some fathers are required to take some extension classes. Yes, that does come up where like the dad could care less about, I should say that, but is not as engaged in their family, not as engaged with their kids. I'm in this class because they told me I had to take it, and I just want to show up and get my piece of paper and leave. So, yeah. I mean, that certainly exists too, but I don't think that is nearly as common as the dads that feel like, I get to see them every other weekend, and I'm so tired from working all week, and, we don't get to do what I want to do. We don't get to do what the kids want to do. So, and in all of the scenarios that you can probably think of, we have heard and seen that. So, Dr. Maggie Kerr, who was down in Madison, she was interviewed specifically for this. I called the radio a couple of weeks ago. We were trying to make a big push for this. How can we make some changes to the system to try and get dads engaged more and make dads feel like they are welcome and are okay to be dads?
I'm finding generationally, it's changing, specifically, and I would state in my family, our son, who has 3 children, is much more actively involved in the daytime events of his children. Now, he's a restaurateur, and so is in the evening doing a fair amount of his work. But nonetheless, my husband wasn't around.
Generally, yes, things have changed a lot in the last 20 or 40 years. Where it used to be a single income household, and typically stayed home, and dad typically went to work. That's not really the case anymore. Where dual income households are much more common and almost required today to have the same standard of living. So it takes both parents doing that equal lifting.
I think you make time for what you want. I mean,
And there is
I
that too.
obviously had a seal coating business. I worked full time. And I coached my daughter's soccer team from U6 to U18. I went to all her swim meets. That was my free time, was family time. Yes, I took some time to myself to do things I wanted to do. But if you want to be involved in that child's life, you will be. You can look at 100 excuses and say, I'm too tired. I've never been too tired if I want to do something.
Yeah.
It's that I'm too lazy and that I don't want to do it. That is,
And that's a
Reality.
reality too. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't, my wife and I were talking about the other night, like, I don't know the last time I sat down and watched like something on TV that I wanted to watch, or that we went and did something that we like. If you are engaged in your children's lives, like I feel like a father, like I feel like I'm engaged and I'm doing my share. And I think that's what most fathers
do it. And we get a babysitter, and my wife and I go to the movie, go out for supper. That's the reason why you get a babysitter is to do stuff. And you have to basically manage your time so that you have a relationship with your wife, so you don't end up divorced.
Yeah.
And yet you want to be a part of your children's life. So it's all like no different than like being financially literate. You have to basically know how to manage your time in the family.
It's the same thing. You have to know what you're not supposed to do, but what do you want to do and how do you make it happen? If that is available to do that, like if you have financial literacy, if you have communication skills, if you have relationship skills, if you want to be involved in all that and you can do it, definitely you can make it happen.
Make it happen. I worked with a lot of people that their goal was fishing. They could have cared less about their kid playing soccer. They were going to go fishing, and then they'll say, well, I never get to spend no time with my child. Well, you can go, naturally you don't. You want to fish. you know, you have to have priorities. It's not, you know, hard to figure out. You have to basically divide your time up and it'll work out.
So lots of really interesting stuff that came out of that. And hopefully see more of that dissemination coming out. Other things, just kind of the one-off things that I do, or what else I do. I go to all the Fox Valley Housing Coalition meetings, both Fox Valley and Winnebago land. So Winnebago County is covered by 2 different housing coalitions. That's where I talk a lot about rent smart, but get engaged with our other community resources and community buyers. Go down to State Street, the State Street Center downtown. Chris Soper goes 1 month, I go another month just to try and engage with the population that uses that facility on a daily basis. Obviously, I do some financial programming. Chris does some programming down there. What else? Just lots
So
of-
that's in Madison.
Nope, that's
No.
downtown Oshkosh, State Street Center, downtown,
Okay.
the old Oshkosh building.
I
County,
know that building.
yes, it's funded through the county, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Friendship Place in,
Yeah.
you
Okay,
know, same.
Yep.
wow.
Just a daily drop in. It's open mid-morning to mid-afternoon. Just a place for individuals to gather, have access to resources. Yeah, it's a nice place. Yeah, lots of other stuff. Yeah.
State Street, Madison is more interesting.
State Street Madison is, yeah, a little more exciting than State Street in downtown Oshkosh, yeah, depending on time of day. Any questions about anything?
Oh, I've got a bunch of
Yeah.
things written down.
All right.
The historical Winnebago County eviction data. Why are people being evicted?
I mean, typically eviction is because of non-payment of rent. That is the most common, like 80% plus.
Okay,
And that's true nationwide. It's for non-payment of rent. Yeah. It can be for other reasons, but
I was just wondering if potentially they were causing the rental property to deteriorate.
that can be, I mean, any violation of your rental agreement can trigger the beginning of the eviction process. But if you look at the filing, so Wisconsin, we have CCAP. We are using, not unique, but one of the few states that does that. All evictions in Wisconsin go through small claims court. So you can look up and see who's filing evictions in Winnebago County. You can file against, and that's where all that data comes from. It's open records on CCAP. And it's almost always for not paying rent.
Okay, and then I think the final one I had is, are you based at Goodwill in Menasha?
No.
Right
Right
here,
here.
not, all right, thank you. I just remember seeing someone who was doing financial planning up at Goodwill.
So yeah, Goodwill through what used to be called FISC, now it's something.
That's where I worked
Yeah,
before I came
yeah.
here.
She knows all about it too, yeah, they do, Goodwill also does, yeah, they do financial counseling, so where they will work with you and maybe work with your credit card companies or work with your bank. They do a little more hands-on, they do a lot of payee for individuals that are getting disability benefits or social security to help them budget and pay their bills. A little bit different than what we do. They don't do as much education, they do more of that hands-on. We will create the budget for you.
Sometimes we have to think for ourselves, don't we? The other thing was, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a fraud presentation over at the sheriff's department.
Mhm.
When you're doing your financial work with individuals, do you talk about it?
Talk
Because
about
it was
that.
an eye opener.
Yeah, fraud is everywhere, especially since, for whatever reason, since the beginning of the pandemic, like especially online fraud, senior fraud especially. Yeah, I did a presentation at assisted living facility in Neenah. Can't think of the name of it right now, but yeah, talking specifically around senior fraud, like the grandparent scams and the online scam. And fraud is huge, because we do everything online, we do everything with our phones, we do everything like that is just sometimes just right for the picking. Yeah, fraud is a huge issue right now. Yeah, for all ages, but yeah, especially for senior citizens. Yeah, people that are The people that are doing it, they know what they're doing. They know how to get you to hand over information. They know how to talk to you. They know the right answers to get.
Well, and recently on the TV, they were talking about how they were able to dub a daughter's
Yeah,
voice.
we just talked about that yesterday in the prison. Yeah, how they can use, now they're using AI to make it sound exactly like your loved one. That is really scary. Yeah. I guess one thing to have someone call and say, you know, this is your grandson so-and-so, but to have them say that and then like recognize your voice through computer generated, like that's really scary. Yeah.
Have you worked at all with two 501c3s, the Joseph Project, which is based pretty much out of Milwaukee, but they're starting to work at getting a project started here in
Mhm.
Oshkosh with one of the churches, and Damascus Road.
I know about the Joseph Project. Yeah, that one I know about. Yeah, I haven't worked with either of those.
Okay, well, the Joseph Project isn't in Oshkosh yet,
Yeah.
but they're starting to work on getting a branch here. And then the Damascus Road is the human trafficking
Mhm.
place. Just both of them, I think are outstanding places.
Any other questions for Todd? Here, none, we'll go on to the Extension Administration Department report with Chris.
Sure, thanks. Couple of items that I wanted to share with you this month. So just going in order, facility, one of the things that was learned is the reservation software that Parks has isn't gonna not work perfectly or well at all for our internal meeting rooms. And I think the discovery was also that there are improvements that to a reservation system that Parks would like to oversee or would like to see as well with their current. So we were hoping that in the month of July, we would roll out a new system for public reservations, but then also have a backside for our county users so that we can make sure that committee meetings and other county business would have the first opportunity to be able to use the room. So not sure on a timeline, but that might be a little bit delayed. So we're going to continue with status quo of Robin primarily managing that system until we have something a little bit more effective or efficient or that allows us to see the big fuller picture. When the system that we have is that we did utilize was as we started to come out of the pandemic, and we kind of had a rolling window of when we didn't just roll up the window and said, hey, we're open. We kind of had to phase in. One of the things that we did, we put in some pieces is to collect some data and some information so that if there is an opportunity or a need or a request for you as county board supervisors, that we actually have some data about how many people, who is using the meeting rooms, how are they being used to help be able to provide at least some background for those decisions. Not perfect. Not perfect, but we are, trying, that's one of the things that we can do in addition to managing the external customers and trying to provide that support. So Robin and Amy and Ashley are doing a great job providing the service and working on that. So I just wanted to give you an update there. So staff updates. So I already mentioned or introduced Katie. I want to give her an opportunity to give a short or, well, as long as you want introduction, but an introduction to yourself and allow if any of you have any questions. So Katie, take it away.
Absolutely. I will try to be brief. My name is Katie Jagley. It's very nice to see some of you, and Steve, it's nice to see you again. But I am the new health and wellbeing educator here. So I'm actually from Ohio, moved to Wisconsin 3 weeks ago, and this is my second week on the job. So still kind of learning my way around the state, the county, the town, and the job. It's really been a really eye-opening experience and a really great opportunity for growth and learning. So I'm so excited to be here. My background is in public health. So I do have my master's in public health and a bachelor's in public health. And then I'm also a certified health education specialist. who's come from the health department working on healthy eating, active living programs. So it really just kind of fits in with that transition to this position, kind of what I was working on before and where I hope to go in the future. I apologize, I don't have as many updates as Todd or anybody else here. I've really just been moving through my orientation process, but like Todd said, I was able to get the opportunity to come with them to the prison yesterday and really observe that program, and it was honestly truly fantastic to see kind of how that works and how, you know, the prison system works in itself too. So I'm really grateful to have had that. Other than that, you know, I'm just kind of, again, doing the onboarding trainings and whatnot. I have some meetings set up with program managers and other health and wellbeing educators for the end of the month. So just kind of slowly transitioning into the role, learning kind of what I'll be doing. I plan to speak with Mandy, who was in this position before, and kind of see where she's hoping it might go as well. And then coming up with a plan of work for the year. So, you know, one day at a time. And if there's anything, you know, that you think in particular I should be focusing on, please feel free to share. I would love your input as well.
I notice you still have fingernails.
I do. We're not there yet. At those training videos, it's just, maybe once I get into some programs, I'll get a little more anxious, right? But no, it's truly been fantastic. Wisconsin is amazing so far. So different from Ohio, but a good different. You know, nothing I've seen is bad. Everyone's very polite.
Where did you get your undergraduate at? Mount Union?
I went to Kent State in Ohio for both undergrad and graduate.
Do they still have a monument up for the Kent State shootings?
They do, yes, and they do the May 4th. May 4th every year, they have a memorial service and a big program and everything for that. And the week leading up to it, they have different educational programs saying what happened, what was background, how does it still affect us today and whatnot.
Did they put a gym up where the shootings occurred? Is
So-
there a gymnasium that?
It's not a gymnasium, but there's a statue and they have, it's right next to a parking lot. So the shootings occurred half in a parking lot and half kind of in the grassy area where the statue is. And they marked up with like parking meter looking things to show where everybody who passed away, you know, ended up.
So it hasn't been
there.
forgotten.
No, absolutely not.
That's good.
Yeah, permanent structure year round.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Couple of other things I wanted to share. Stephanie Bowers is going to join us as our regional dairy educator. So Stephanie agreed to come and join us and work within our four county regional area. Just now, or that's kind of new news, very new news, and I will, Stephanie's working on an introduction, so I will get that out by email to this group just with a little bit more background. She will start on July 17th, so likely it will be after that date before she'll get a chance to either join in person or at least virtually to do similar to what Katie and say hi to the group. She will, her home office will be the Outagamie County Extension Office. So she'll be HQ, that'll be her headquarters city, which also does put her kind of in the middle. That's also right in the middle of Winnebago, Oconto, Shawano, and obviously Outagamie counties. So some good news there. The other piece today, and what should be in your inboxes when the next time that you check your county emails is a kickoff to our monthly. We reintroduced our county like what's happening newsletter. So there's a couple of pieces. One. We're getting our deadline pieces, and so the part of the intent is to help you in one of your next agenda items is to have what are the things that you might want to share with our fellow county board members or draw their attention to. We're still at the same time as our staff providing information to the newsletter. We're also implementing a new email management system. And so one of the things that Robin found is that your old email address, not the .gov email address was the one in the system, and it was caught. So, so it's getting those pieces updated and things like that. So that's why we're learning as we go. So hopefully the process will go to be able to help you, to help, one, as a recipient of, so there's two pieces. The other piece is that there are a number of, when many of you, when you hear updates, you're like, oh, hey, get me the dates. A lot of those dates and some of that information for our upcoming programs are in that newsletter, so they're built in. For example, Chris Soper has an article about our farm market tours, and it lists the dates and the information and how you can sign up right there. So trying to be able to one, communicate to all of Winnebago County potentially, like, hey, these are some programs you might be interested in, but also it's a tool that there were a couple of things that, based on some of the questions that you have asked and the interaction that we've had on a monthly basis, is to try and help you as well. So so look for that or check that in your inbox. So hopefully we can get on a little bit of a routine. The other piece, just like area, region, and state updates, like many, haven't shifted into full gear fully on the budget process. We're in all three of the counties that I'm working in, we're just a touch behind, partially because there are some potential significant impacts within the state budget and how they may impact our county budgeting process and philosophy, our opportunities that we might have. So I fully understand the why, because it could be a significant impact to be able to aid in the county being able to meet some key programmatic areas. And that's the same for all three of the counties that I work with, but also here. The other thing that I'm keeping an eye on is the university system and the University of Madison budgets that have still, at least of this morning, had not been taken up and voted on, as there was some couple of sticking points in a couple of issues or a couple of areas that may are creating a little bit of division between the legislature and the governor. So we'll see how that might play out and how that may impact the university. It overall won't, at least from our division, some of the focus is a target at targeting specifically diversity, equity, and inclusion related programs or focus programs. Our organization and our dean has stated it will not change our commitments to ensuring that all of the residents of our communities have opportunities to access and engage in extension programming. That's very fundamental to the Wisconsin idea that, Charles Van Nuys in 1902, stated, so it's just a pretty important piece to the work that we do. So, we'll let our elected officials, exchange barbs and work through the process. We will hopefully there will be some positive pieces that will come out of that process as well that will help our division and the university as a whole. So that's just my brief report for the month of June. It's dairy month. Go drink a glass of milk or eat some cheese. And I'm now happy to, if anybody has any questions or comments, happy to hear them.
Yes, did the communication that you are starting to email out and about to the community, did that come out of that Division of Extension and Education Steering Committee stuff?
No, not
That was just
so, not specifically, Kay. So pre-pandemic, we had a regular monthly newsletter, and it I think rightfully so. It kind of it kind of paused because we were all over the place. We were putting out fires, we were helping, it was all hands on deck, and we were doing more specific communications about what, intended audiences. And so there were a couple of things. One, one of the triggers was the announcing extension events. As our group, we had listened and we're like, okay, this is a way that we can help you. You're our advocates, and we thank you, and we want to try to help help you do that role more efficiently and more effectively. We also, as a group, are like, we used to do this. Why weren't we? And we're like, well, we never started it back up. And we as a group decided that's not a good reason. And so we brought that back. So we want to do that. And then the integration of the new email platform was also another trigger. And the cool thing about that, so there's a couple of things that we've got. That program is actually the same one that our division of extension uses. And they are able to give our county office, as well as any of the other county offices, a sub account. So this is also a feature that we have a little bit of technical support because we have a user group, and it's free. So we also were able to drop to drop some budgeting and it's a small amount. It's not a huge amount, but it's one of those things that every little bit helps, and let's leverage our resources. So and I'm not going to say that, or at least it is a best practice. So it can and probably should be something that your steering committee individuals may have discussed, because it is something like, how else are you going to know? There's and we can still use these pieces, and the articles or the blurbs that are in the email have links to get you to more information. So it's not a it's not 14 pages long. It's about 8 to 10 blurbs, and it's a little description to catch your interest, a headline, a description, maybe a image, and then a link for more information or to register. So we're trying to hey, what are all the things that we've learned, plus capitalize on what our past experience was, and let's put it all together for all of the different reasons. And the first edition looks great. Includes Todd has a blurb about RentSmart. I mentioned Chris's. Dana's got some 4-H updates of some upcoming 4-H and youth outreach activities. Mia has a way that if there are individuals that want to be focused on the Entrepreneurs of Color Spotlight, for individuals to go into there. And now I'm trying to remember the other ones as I was reading the newsletter, but those are the types of things that we're also trying to highlight upcoming programs and events. So I guess that's the other piece. Hey, these are some things that you might be interested in. And then our county review is a document that we put for you so that you can see some of the impacts and some of the how many people attended, or where, like Todd's got the information of, okay, so this is the digging deeper for some of those things.
It's interesting because, I don't know, it looks like it comes up next. Steve, you want me to go on to my review of the last meeting that we had at the.
Anybody else have any questions for Chris? We'll finish that first. If none, then we'll move on.
Because it looks like that's next on the agenda. And what I found was that I was pretty when I say ill-informed, I don't have enough information to be able to be an active participant there. And what I found was it was the UW Extension Madison people, the WCA, and executives who were the ones who were real active participants in it. And it was a case of communication. And so that's why I asked your question, that question. I found it to be a very interesting meeting, and Steve, I'll give you this. It seems that there are several counties who are not really seeing the benefit of extension. And I believe that a great portion of that is because of the lack of communication. So the WCA and extension are working at shoring up the communication within the state of Wisconsin. There is a guidance document on the UW Extension site about the relationship UW-Madison has with the counties. And there is also a contract between the two entities. As with anything, the more structures involved, the more complex it becomes. What came out of today's meeting was forming a subcommittee to address some of these pain points. The various counties have budget, who's in charge, what are counties' priorities, and the value of it. The subcommittee is comprised of, they hope, county executives, extension employees, corp counsel, supervisors, hopefully the chairman, I don't know, Steve, to figure out what the county needs of the 72 counties are. How are budgets established between the extension and the county? I found I was unable to have input because I'm so new at the workings of this particular discussion. It is complex and I'm not well informed about the ins and outs of the various levels of this system. Much discussion was related to who's in charge, the county because of funding or the UW system because of who they are. There will be lots of rounds of that discussion. So that's what I sent to Tom related to that. And that was why I had that question.
Yeah, and so our general emphasis was just because it's the right thing to do. Not, I mean, for a lot of different things.
Well,
So,
and it's pretty clear that it couldn't have gotten to you in the last week and a half.
Yeah.
To go about getting this
Right.
accomplished and done.
and
Thank you so much.
one other piece that I did, well, related to this is I also did pass along an email note about the progress report of our Division of Extension Strategic Planning Initiative. So there is an opportunity and I'm willing to if anybody has any questions and to help engage in that conversation, but there is still plenty of opportunity for input for those that wanted to dig in and look at it. That was not the final strategic plan. That was just a progress update and there's still plenty of opportunity. So that's also, I don't know if that came up, but there was some viewpoints that there were some people like, oh, this is the plan. Why didn't you tell us, or why didn't you engage us? And we're like, we've been doing this for a year now. And this is an update and we still have a number of pieces and here's how some ways to contribute, you can still contribute feedback. So, that's another piece that we, that we're, we are trying to do improve, increase, change some of our communication strategies to meet the needs of, to meet people where they're at.
And I find that the very fact that I'm involved in this committee makes a huge difference to even beginning to start to understand how the process works. If you're not involved in specific committees, then you have no clue about what they're doing unless you're perpetually on the website looking at what those committee minutes are and what the program was or what the Zoom event was that happened so that you can see what's going on. And then you're pretty consumed with county stuff, aren't you?
And I think with extension, it's just, so many people don't know all the things that we provide. It's all marketing, but if you need a service, I always research online and it'll come up and then I use it. It's like, there's a lot of things that we offer in Winnebago County that I don't ever use because I have no need for them, but they're there for the people that do. It's like, that's why a community has so many things to offer, but we all don't use everything the community offers. We just pick and choose what it is that.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, but I think that people won't necessarily think in terms of county as being the provider of these things or the UW extension. I mean, about the gardeners, the master gardeners. It's just, again, what I found they were saying it was going to boil down to is we need to make sure on all sides that communication is happening.
Right, marketing, basically, the programs that you offer.
The
is key.
advertising, absolutely.
You know, without marketing, you have nothing.
That's right.
You know, no business will survive if you don't advertise. Any other questions for Kay?
It was interesting, but hey, my mouth was.
Yeah, you'll, longer you're there, the better you'll get.
Stop.
You know, it occurs to me that since houses are being designed with out front porches anymore, we lost a lot when we quit doing that, because change has started since that time. And everything you're talking about here, I mean, marketing, you gotta sell what you have. And the extension has a lot of good things here, but it comes down to the marketing, how you're gonna do it. And then my last one is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know, so how do you do all that? That is a challenge. It's out all over on, I don't know, every meeting I go to, every discussion I get in, I can even go to a bar and get a discussion. It comes down to that, is that, you know, things have changed. They're not like they were before. I think last week we talked about wine, didn't we? Last month.
You. Struck us in town.
Yeah, well, another case going down the tubes. I can see that.
Well, hearing about your, the whole communication thing too, I was just thinking, Todd's doing some really good program, well, all the programs are doing good programs, but 4-H, we do a newsletter that's bi-monthly, and I'm almost thinking I should just have an extension section in there highlighting, because the volunteers are the ones reading it mostly, and a lot of that information pertains to adults, so it makes sense to kind of cross promote, within the divisions or departments.
There is so much good. It's just how do you get it out to the people that need it?
Yes,
Now that we've done this,
And-
it makes it easier for you to drop.
going
Yes,
back to what
yeah,
Chris was
definitely.
saying, I, two things. There were several counties that I don't think have as good communication as happens here, which thank you all so much for that communication. And then the other one, Chris, is I forgot to ask, what's going on with the new plans for outdoors and the hatching and the.
I can update you on that. So we pretty much got a green light. I'm working with Parks and a couple other county people to pick the exact spot where it's gonna go. I've been researching coops and runs and been talking with Food Wise and Horticulture, because that's who we're all partnering with. I've found a really kind of cool fandangled, it's actually a plastic double wall insulated coop, and I'm buying one for myself for my own backyard as well. And it helps keep chickens warmer in the winter, cooler in the summer. Now, we aren't gonna have chickens in the winter here, but it's a decent size for a few chickens, very easy to clean, and that's the selling point, because it's gonna be me and Chris and Madison that are gonna be cleaning, the coop. It's just got these trays you pull out, you hose them down, you put them back in, you add the chicken litter and stuff, opposed to having a wood coop, which is very hard to clean. It's just everything kind of sinks in, and so we're looking towards that. I contacted the company, they're giving us a 20% discount. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it. The run is, I'm working with one of our volunteers, 4-H volunteers, to build a run. He's going to get us a list of like a cost breakdown of supplies, and that he'll do the labor for free. He's willing to build that. Zilgus Materials has donated half of the cost for mulching out the entire area for the classroom. So it'll be the coop, the run, the raised beds, the picnic tables for the classroom area. We're going to mulch out a nice square area so that Parks doesn't have to mow around, obstacles. So we want to make that as easy as possible for them. And Food Wise has grant programs that they'll be able to write to pay for the lumber, soil, and seed for the raised beds. So everything's really coming together. My goal is to have most of it in place September 30th, because on that day, we're doing a pumpkin and sunflower growing contest, 4-H's, And I'm kind of use that date as kind of an open house to the outdoor classroom. The kids are gonna bring their specimens in and we're gonna weigh their pumpkins and kind of make it fun and introduce the classroom to everyone. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. I'm really excited about it.
Did the term chicken litter come out of your mouth?
Chicken litter, yeah, well, it's just basically bedding, that goes in the trade. Chicken litter.
Chicken
bedding,
litter. Yeah.
bedding.
It flows freely and
Yeah.
it's gotta be expensive. I gotta say.
Yeah, it's usually pine shavings or chopped straw or even sand. People even use like construction grade sand, the thicker stuff.
I just.
You don't want to get me going on. I've been doing so much research. I've got books at home that I read every night and I tease my husband. I'm like, well, tonight we're gonna read from the book of chicken. 3 chapters. Yeah, but it's really been a fun and learning experience.
It's gonna be even more fun when you get into it, because
Yeah.
there's gotta be stories that are gonna be coming out.
Oh, yeah, I think, it's really gonna take place next spring is when we'll really launch the whole thing, but I'm really excited to see how all of our different programs can utilize it in the community for different events, so.
And
Are you
again, publicizing it somehow and
Mhm.
getting it
Yeah.
out.
Maybe that September 30th, although probably want to do something closer to spring too. That would make more sense.
Yeah,
Like
let it
closer to the date, but
stay up for a
Although
little bit. and
yeah,
get
mm,
Details.
great.
You can have a rooster.
No, they're not allowed. Can't have roosters in town.
So how many chicken will you have?
Well, we can have up to 6, but 2 or 3, I think is plenty. I mean, you get the idea. We don't think we need a whole flock. 2 or 3 chickens is ample. It's enough for the kids to see what they're like, that they'll see the eggs they lay, that kind of.
How many eggs do you need to support that program? Is that what you need?
Well, I don't know. 3 chickens, what is that, 3 eggs a day?
There's another night stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on, we got announced upcoming extension events at the county board meeting for discussion. We just announced the 4-H tickets for sale and the PGI tickets.
Oh, the fair tickets?
Yeah, they went,
Yep.
they go up for sale, I think. they
Yep,
started
and I
selling.
think they're putting them out at the regular venues, like the different grocery stores and, yeah.
So that-
And I think somewhere along the line, we should talk about the newsletter, that it's gonna be going to all the supervisors, right?
Yes, we
See,
may
because
not, have, this one may not, because we have to get the email address, the list updated, but that is the plan.
'Cause I would think that we have to educate the board members, this is coming, this is what it is. Tell them there'll be a test after every meeting so that they read it, I don't know.
And
To
then-
make me pay
We should
attention,
probably
huh?
add a quiz question.
Yeah.
We should, and then the
Name the
answer is,
6th Extension Institutes.
or something based on, okay, I will, to
Trivia.
make it a little more, I mean, you planted that seed, Tom, in the quiz afterward. Maybe
Make a
we-
whole,
How you get people to,
Jeopardy. We can make a whole Jeopardy board on it.
Yeah.
You know what they do? About half of them will read it, the other half will just sit delete. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I probably get 20-25 emails a day, and I probably read 5 of what I get. Because they're something that pertains to what I need to know, and other ones, I've read them in the past, and, if it's something I'm interested in, I'll read it, but if it's not, I just catch the top of it, and, if I read every email I got, it would take hours of my time, and,
Yeah,
I don't read Oshkosh,
maybe.
whatever it is,
Chamber of
Chamber
Commerce.
of Commerce one. I don't read that. Otherwise, the rest of them I do.
Business after hours, I only went to one in 8 years I've been on the board, so I really don't read them, I know I'm not gonna go to it, so it doesn't really pertain to me, so it's like,
And I guess that's part of what we gotta accept in what we're doing here. Not everybody's gonna be part of it, interested in it, have an issue in it. The problem is how to get those 2 people that do one to, and I was amazed. I mean, the 4-H one, the bi-monthly, is that?
Mhm, the newsletter.
Yeah, and I mean, I just went through the last one, Monash is actually, the word Monash is actually used in there 3 times.
Yeah, we're doing a lot.
And, and that being said, I'm going, okay, now, what about Amro? I mean, the programs you have, you can't really have an Amro But how do you reach out to those people and say, if you want to drive a little bit, come on in here and partake? And again, you can send it out to them, but, they won't come. I don't think at least.
Next, we got comments from committee members.
Do I say I have none?
Too late.
Steve, Mia actually said, since she wasn't able to host that little tech session this morning, that she would be available either July 20th or August 17th, if you guys have a preference.
See when we're gonna have it. I guess that's the biggest thing.
So should I just let her know for the next one in July?
Sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think she's an excellent baker. And I'm assuming she's gonna break some of her traditional. treatments. I'm sure you'll get that in there. So.
All she had to do was listen to the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. And then she'll be in Zoom there eating something.
If you wanted to mention at the meeting, kind of along with the fair, some of the education we're doing, we're doing a Chick Quest series here this summer. We're gonna finish it out so the hatching takes place during county fair.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a few incubators going with chicks hatching, so something kind of fun for them to stop by and see.
Sure, I'll mention it. Any other committee member comments? Hearing none, next meeting will be July 20th. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.